All right, everybody, we are live. Week 80, I believe. My goodness. Week 80. This is what we call the classics of Cuvée. We've got a great lineup of wines tonight and a great lineup of beautiful faces here as well. So our wonderful and illustrious owner, Dr. Richard Becker. So glad to have you on, sir. And then our wonderful winemaker. And I would like to term the mad scientist, because he's just does some amazing things with these wines here. And then we have Kaylin Hall, the director of everything behind the scenes and also in front of us as well. And then myself, Bobby Totten, the wine club director here at Becker Vineyards. And just so glad to have everybody on tonight for a beautiful lineup. We've got 2015 Prairie Cuvee, 2019 Prairie Cuvee, and 2020 Saigné. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Dr. Becker to lead us in some beautiful words and get us kicked off for this beautiful evening.
80 weeks, guys, of this battle, and you know, it seems long to us. Imagine if you're an ICU nurse or an ICU doctor or someone who just delivers the linens or delivers the meds or all the things that are required to make a hospital work. That's a long 80 weeks. And so just remember that this is our salute of thanks to all the people who are fighting in the front lines, and just a few minutes of stepping back from that and celebrating some wonderful wines that John has made. And so that's as big a treat as we can make it. Anyway, thanks. Welcome.
Well, I'm kind of excited to be back after a 3-week hiatus. So, and I apologize to everybody, but apparently part of my job is to actually make the wine. And so when that happens in the fall, it confuses me every single year. It's like, what are these grapes doing on the back patio?
Right.
Yeah.
And lots of them.
Well, before we dive into this beautiful Saigné, which I have not had a glass of this in probably 48 hours, so it's changed quite a bit. So just a little harvest update for everyone. We had a beautiful harvest this year. It was down as far as tonnage goes. We did about 750 tons this year. It's about half of what we expected, but that was weather related from, believe it or not, the 2019 heat and freeze cycle that we experienced late in 2019. This was the second year of a recoup. The quality, you couldn't ask for a better job, honestly. The Cabernet were tiny berries this year. We just pressed out a batch of Tempranillo today from Drew Talent's vineyard up in Mason, and it's the inkiest red Tempranillo we've had in a long time. It's just gorgeous. So the 2021 quality is going to be there. It's just the quantity is not going to be there. So we'll pre-sell everything in reserve offerings next year.
That's an idea.
Hey, right?
John, 800 tons is still a lot of grapes.
Yeah. Tell me about it, Doc. I had to pick them up one by one and name them all. We picked up a beautiful batch of Grenache this year from a new vineyard. We've picked up a couple of new growers that are absolutely fantastic. We got Viognier. We were not really down that far on Viognier. So we've gotten some very beautiful Viognier this year. The white wines came in just spectacular. But, the odd thing for me this year was such a late start. It was almost 2.5 weeks later than we normally on our average start. So, and yet we're wrapping up at the exact same time. So it was a fast and furious harvest. So I don't know what else to say other than I'm really looking forward to getting everything put to bed so we can get on to the blending this fall. So started playing with the new Culinaria blend. So that's going to be our next, it's kind of fun.
That sounds
fun. Saigné, Bobby, lead us off if you would, sir, since you have this beautiful palate. And then Kaylin has got wonderful words. I've been listening to you guys, even though I haven't been on. So yeah.
They're very good. They both are.
And the only thing I'm going to say is the three of you need to smile more. So what do you
Barbie
think?
does this at me a lot, as a,
Jody will whisper or hold up signs in the background. You look like a grumpy man. I am.
On the nose. Come on.
Yeah, right.
Speaking
what do
of
you think?
noses.
Yeah, right.
That's the beautiful floral characteristic of rose petals. And I'm right there with you, Kaylin.
A little cold.
Mine is really cold. So I mean, it's pretty tight right now because it is so cold. But what does jump out are kind of that floral characteristic of rose petals.
it certainly does. Yeah. Boy.
And I almost get like a little saffron. Kind of showcase a little bit in there.
Wow, you're using big spice words now, buddy.
But the palette is just the fruit characteristics. Just there's so many layers to it. I mean, you get the little bit of like Bing cherries, you get some raspberries, you get some cranberry notes to it.
Mhm.
It's just it's a really beautiful wine, and it's I think it's just great to enjoy with the nice sunsets that I've been showcasing out here at the winery.
Right. I'm glad you re-upped the contract for sunsets. That it's been worth every penny paying extra for those sunsets out there.
When the sun sets over the zinnias.
The sunset over the zinnias. That kind of sounds like a really fun novel. Like a Yovanovitch novel or something.
That'll be the next elevated tasting experience that we do out here.
Sunset over the zinnias. So Bobby, this is the 2020. So, forgive me because I literally have had my head in a tank for the last 6 weeks. Have we released the 2020 yet, or is this just pre-release?
This was a part of the White Wines Club.
Wine Club? Okay.
October. So we released
Nice.
kind of 3 new wines. I mean, Viognier 18 is pretty new release in the shipment. We released it a few months ago in the tasting room. But the 18 Reserve Viognier, the 19 Prairie Cuvee, and then the 2020 Saigné, which it's exclusive to club members at the moment. We're kind of showcasing the rest of what we have of 2017 Saigné and showcasing that and making it available as long as we have it, because it's going quick. And then we can roll out with the 2020.
Yeah, this 2020 is going to be great for the holidays. So, Kaylin, I have not had an opportunity to speak with you all day.
Maybe a little bit today, not much.
You mean when I walked by you and went,
right? Or whenever I was telling you where to sit at lunch.
Yeah, right. You sit over here now.
So this Saigné, I love this wine. This was something that I was able to try when it was in tank and was very enthused about. And I'm just happy it made it to bottle now, so I can actually bring some home with me. So on the nose, like Bobby was saying, lots of rose petal, lots of floral components I'm picking up. But I'm also picking up maybe some like the barely ripe strawberry, maybe a little bit of like white peach, things of that nature. It's really nice and bright on the nose. And then on the palate, all of the bright red fruits that Bobby was saying, but it has such a zippy acidity, and it's so pretty in the glass. It translates to the nose and then also to the palate. I'm excited to bring this home for Christmas. I won't be home for Thanksgiving, but I will probably still be enjoying this for Thanksgiving.
So watch the movie Home for the Holidays.
Exactly.
So you guys have hit upon something really interesting I find about the Saigné, and that's that earthy and herbaceousness. And what I'm getting off the nose, mine is a little warm, probably warmer than you would normally serve it. And what I'm getting off of the nose is a blend between fennel and anise. Just a hint, it's kind of like fennel, kind of like anise. So it's going back and forth on that edge, where normally I would say like herbal, like tarragon or thyme or something, but it's really more fennel or anise-like. And I don't know if anybody else is getting that or if your guys is too cold.
I am, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. John, what are the grapes? What's the source of the?
Oh, God, I was hoping you wouldn't ask me because the source is 1.5 miles long. I have to open up my handy dandy little app for our that I can tap into the brain at work here. So Saigné, 20 Saigné. There we go. All righty. So what we have here, let me get this blend up here. Here we go. So we have Dolcetto is about 20%. Cinsault is about 14. Tite Syrah, 12%. Mourvèdre is 12%. Chardonnay is a small amount, I think, because we had some Chardonnay topping that somebody topped one of the barrels with some Chardonnay. It's like 0.03%. But that the Dolcetto, Cinsault, Petite Syrah, and Mourvèdre are the primaries on this vintage. Almost, let's see, an equal split too between the High Plains and the Hill Country AVAs. So about 58% from the Texas High Plains and the balance from the Hill Country. So a little bit of our estate vineyard, about 20% of the blend was from our estate vineyard. And then we got a lot of jet in there, farmhouse, talent, and Canada. So we've got that Chardonnay would be the Canada, that little tiny amount of Chardonnay that made it in. So a couple of these components were actually barrel fermented in neutral white barrels, 4-year-old neutral white barrels. So I tried a little experiment with some of the rosé. Didn't want the wood necessarily, but I wanted that creaminess that develops in that mouthfeel that develops in barrel when you get it in contact with the yeast for a long period of time. You develop a lot of glycerol, so that weight in the mouth. So I was trying to do that without adding any oak flavor to the wine, and I think it's come out quite nicely.
There's the mad scientist part, which
and Rachel, who is still at the winery, and thankfully still at the winery, and it's okay, Rachel, we'll let you out of the chains and handcuffs soon as harvest is over. I promise you'll be able to go home. Her day always runs a little bit longer because she's finishing up all of the chemistry and stuff. But we were talking about this particular wine not too long ago, and the components that we enjoyed about doing it last year versus what we're doing this year with the rosés. So this time of the year, it's fast and furious because you have to make all the decisions kind of in a window like this. It's like, but turned out well. Hopefully everybody will enjoy it. I know I'm going to jump the gun here, Bobby, and make your life really, really hard. But how long are you going to just keep it to the wine club? And when do we get to share it with everybody?
we possibly have maybe 15 cases of the 17 Saigné.
Now that shouldn't predicate when we get to share this with everybody, should it?
Yeah, I believe this is coming. This is kind of peeking its head out on the Lavender Fest this weekend. So.
Oh,
yes,
good
that's
plug,
this
good segue.
weekend. So if you are coming out to Lavender Festival and you don't have a bottle of this at home, you'll be able to try it. We'll be able to purchase it to take home as well. And it will be very lovely to enjoy amongst all the lavender, especially with all the herbaceous qualities that it does carry on the nose. And mine is finally starting to warm up, and I'm like very much enjoying it. I'm picking up a little bit of time almost as well.
Okay.
It's lovely.
It's always good to have some extra time.
A little extra time.
As much as I can get.
So Doc, what are your impressions of the Saigné, sir?
Well, I love these complex, so the minerality is here, which I love, and these very subtle sort of flower, almost wildflower aromatic, although some strawberry and then some fennel, and it's some anise maybe. I just think I love it. You know, before we put on the air, I said this is my favorite rosé that we've made since the 2012. And I think it's great.
Oh, absolutely. Hey,
sorry.
No, go ahead, Bobby.
That 2012 from Talent's Vineyard, the Grenache from Talent's Vineyard.
No, the 2012 Mourvèdre Rosé.
Bad.
Yeah, Provençal.
Yeah.
The 2012. Yeah, that's the one we got the first double gold from San Francisco International with. So
Mhm.
yeah, and followed on the heels with the blend of the 2011 or 2012 Prairie Roti. That was in that same year, so it was kind of nice. Yeah, people are saying, I'm just looking at seeing comments. They're all saying wonderful things about the wine. And somebody gave a shout out, Debbie from Illinois, saying she doesn't have the wine. Debbie, I think we could send you the wine. Shh, don't tell people.
Shipped to Illinois.
So any other comments on the Saigné before we move into these beautiful whites, which I've been sneaking sniffs of the white wine. I'm trying to decide, have you guys, Doc, what do you want to start with, the 19 or the 15 on the Prairie Roti or Prairie Cuvee?
I was going to ask your advice. I don't know. 19, I would usually.
Let's go with the older and end with the fresher.
All right,
Let's
all
go
right.
with the 15. First of all, I'm kind of excited about some of our aged white wines, to tell you the truth. We've been having, Texas is showing a remarkable ability to grow some age-worthy and world-worthy whites, and that's really nice. Getting a little bit of fresh fromage off of the top of this wine. So Kaylin, you want to lead us off with that wonderful palette of yours?
Yes. Okay. So this wine, when it initially came out, so 2015 was the first vintage of Prairie Cuvee in the tasting room. And I had not really had a lot of opportunity to try Marsanne. In fact, this was my first time ever trying it or smelling it or anything on a wine. And while now I am, smelling it and trying the wine, I do pick up quite a bit of Roussanne. I feel like Roussanne kind of is a shining star. It does showcase itself very well, shows off all the lovely honeysuckle and beautiful stone fruits. But I pick up so much minerality, and this sounds really silly, but it smells like when you are outside somewhere where there's white rock specifically and it rains.
Yes.
It's super specific, but it just reminds me of something from my childhood. I can't quite nail down, but I just remember it smelling like that at one time in my life in a place that was white rocks. And
that's when your parents left you at the Grand Canyon.
it's probably or probably Paladuro Canyon. That was closer. No. So this was something that I really have enjoyed since its debut. And I think it's always really fun to show people, because there are a lot of people that say, well, what do you mean minerality? Like, what does that mean? I'm like, oh, okay, ready? Smell this wine. And of course you're able to pick up the other lovely things. But for me, the minerality is really this shining star in this. And I think it's just absolutely lovely. And I'm happy to be trying it today. And I'm happy that I have a bit more left to sample later.
So Doc, what about the 2015?
I get some orange blossom, slightly muted, certainly some herbal tea, and some beeswax from the Roussanne. It's almost like smelling wild honey, before it's cut off the comb.
Okay, you've kept bees, so you'll appreciate this. You know that
I have.
smell when you first crack open the hive, when you're checking on the hive, that scent that comes out. Yes, it's a mix of honey, the pheromone of the bee, that wax, that warmness. This reminds me of a fresh hive. That it's okay. I can get more esoteric if you guys want me to come up with these really bizarre descriptors, but I'm not joking. This just brings it right back. So, and as soon as Caitlin started saying honeycomb, it was like, you're right, but there's also there's an underlying amount of caramel or taffy on the edge.
Yeah.
Like a cooked sugar almost.
Right.
Not in a bad way, but a caramelized sugar.
Caramelization.
It's like a Christmas cookie before it's iced.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Doc. Now I want sugar cookies.
I know.
You know what I really want is a Russian tea cake.
Ooh.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about the white wines in Texas and the ageability. I mean, this is a 2015. Here it is, 2021. It doesn't seem like a long time, but for most palates, white wine doesn't last that long. But we've managed to grow some great fruit and, quite frankly, not mess it up while we're making it into wine. So that's a really
This
wonderful.
wine is glowing almost
Mhm.
on the palate. It's
Yeah.
really rich.
What do you think, Bobby?
Yeah, it's taking me down. Like it's the, as you're saying, how esoteric do you want to go? It's like, how far do you want to go down the rabbit hole kind of a deal.
Right.
I think just that honeycomb, the minerality, the wet rocks,
Okay. Oh, Angela, it's good to see you again. Cheers to Angela. Haven't seen a comment from her in a while. And Dana's using very large words.
Mhm. I saw the petrichor comment.
Wow.
Oh, everybody's got a word for a scent descriptor. All right. Oh man.
So on this 2015 blend, it was 54% Marsanne and 46% Roussanne. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Who was growing what on this?
Well,
Well,
all
right, let me put you on the spot.
yeah. No, it's fine. We only have one source of Marsanne, and that is from BJ Reddy for the Reddy Vineyards, and that man grows some damn good fruit. So, and I'm only saying that because Jet's on with us now, and I was being very complimentary towards him earlier. So, gotta make sure Jet has a reason to give me hell the next time I see him.
He doesn't need one, John.
I know. He's pretty good at it. Trust me, it keeps us on our toes. But the Roussanne we get from both Farmhouse and we get some from Bingham Family Vineyards, and that is a blend of both of those in here. So yeah, this is just a
Beautiful wine.
So this 2015. So Dr. Becker for a long time wanted a particular white blended wine. And Doc, will you talk to that specifically? Because for 3 years, we had talked about, can we get this done? Can we find the grapes that are ripe and matured in the same year for this white, the Prairie Cuvee blend? And what was your inspiration behind that?
The wonderful blends from the little towns around Avignon, in the area in the mid-Rhone Valley, that where Roussanne does so well, and Marsanne, and then there's Viognier, of course, the whole length of the Rhone, but mainly north of there. A number of wonderful blends of those. And I love all three. I love them separate. I love them blended. I guess I don't know why that is, but I really like those wines, and they have been spectacular in Texas, I think.
I'm kind of looking forward to June when we're going to be there and with these wines and be able to taste them against the.
That's going to be fun. Yeah.
Kind of the old country version. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
I think that the Perrin family makes just wonderful, all of the above, and that, I guess that really caught my attention when I was there. We were there with Tom and Lisa Perini, and it was wonderful to taste it.
That's great. Well, we finally managed it in 2015 to get Marsanne and Roussanne fully phenolically ripe and be able to blend it, and we barrel aged that for almost 2 years before we blended it. So this did not come out until 2017 as far as a release, which has made it very, very nice. I'm going to keep going back to this. The nose on this is incredible. For anybody joining us, if you have it, I hope you've opened it. Bobby, was this pretty much the tail end of the 2015?
There's a few bottles left.
I think
Yeah.
I think we need to save them.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
All right.
That'll be Dr. Becker's.
right.
I
Wait a
assure
minute.
you, I have no input, so. Anyway, that'd be fun.
Being the first one ever released of the Prairie Cuvee, I think that,
Mhm.
it's beautiful.
Oh yeah. So don't forget, guys, we have to go through food pairings later. So I hope you're thinking in that direction.
Yeah.
Okay. So any comments anybody else want to add to? Did everybody have a chance to wax eloquent about this beautiful wine?
I think so. I'm excited to have them both and I mean, I do have them both to compare, but
Right.
to go through, hear everyone's fancy words about the 19 and then return to the 15 and
And
savor.
did both of these go through malolactic?
A portion of them did, yes, but not 100%, no.
Okay.
The problem is with brand new barrels, if you put wine in brand new barrels, you're almost guaranteed that if there's enough malic acid in there, it will go through ML fermentation. So that you don't necessarily, especially in Texas with the whites, you don't necessarily want every white to go through malolactic fermentation. You do want some of that green apple acidity there for body, for just carrying flavor. Acid is so very important for flavor, for flavor development, to carry multiple different layers together. It's the ties that bind all the flavor profile together. It's the same thing in cooking, like using the acid like in a good soup, to tie things together or to bring the flavors out. It does the same thing with the grapes and the wine on there. Okay, I am starting to get some noses on this 2019. If you haven't yet had an opportunity, go ahead and get that glass swirling and put your nose deep down in there. Because two things I noticed right off the bat. One, in 5 years, this wine is going to be as delicious as the 2015 is now.
Oh yeah.
And two, there are some nuances in the nose here that are just incredible.
Yeah.
Doc, let's start with you. What are you getting on this 2019?
But just give me a sec.
Okay,
Gonna
1
let him
second
try
exactly.
and smell it first.
We'll come back to Dr. Becker.
I'll be here.
Bobby, what do you think?
I think the first thing that jumps out is almost like a kind of a lemon characteristic.
Or some
like
unexpected lime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, like
Am I
lime leaf.
crazy or does it smell a bit like almost apple pie-esque? I know
Yeah.
that sounds crazy and I might be crazy, but picking up things that remind me of that.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of Bartlett pear, like
Oh.
green Bartlett pear in the nose.
Yeah.
See, but I'm also picking up quite a bit of baking spice, which
Yeah.
I don't know if that's where it's leading me down the path of apple pie,
apple
but that was
pie.
initially the first thing was
Cardamom. Yeah,
Right.
I get hints of cardamom, like green cardamom in here.
And I'm almost getting like that kind of bready characteristic too. So like that kind of contributes to
Bread or Brett?
bread. Like
Okay.
bread.
not Brett, no Brett.
No Brett, no barnyard, no.
Significantly more acid, John.
Yes.
Did you squeeze limes in the? I mean, where did this come from?
Look, it was vodka tonic day at work. What did you want?
I wasn't invited once again. Yeah.
I wasn't invited for that either.
I wasn't invited. Yeah. No, we did acidulate this vintage. So just tartaric acid to help bring down the pH. This was an incredibly high pH here in 2019. So 2015 we acidulated a little bit, but not as much. And they are two different wines on that level. I do appreciate the fact that with a little higher acid, there's some nuance that we probably didn't get out of the 2015, but 5 years on, that 2015 is a beautiful wine. This 2019 will certainly age as long, if not longer, but you are right, Doug. It's going to have a lot more of those acid notes in there, that vibrancy to it, especially in the front. Yeah, I did a little lime leaf in there.
Yeah. Maybe a little key lime pie here on the nose.
I'm getting hungry. Somebody was just mentioning pork chops with this.
Hey,
And now,
Joe.
yeah.
Hey,
Hey, hey.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Is that Joe?
Mhm.
John's comic relief.
When it first popped up, I was like, wait, who is this? And I was like, oh, obviously, it must be Joe. Must be.
Exactly.
yeah. Love it.
Wow, this is, yeah. So, okay, well, let's go back and compare these two. Kaylin, you mentioned it, so let's start with you. Yes, I know, right on the hot seat.
No.
See, you didn't miss me for the last 3 weeks.
I thought I did. No,
I thought I did until tonight. Gary Clark, so the 2019 qualifies as a booster shot, right? No. Supplement at best. But yeah. So why don't you compare the two? Kaylin, tell us what you like, similar and differences.
Okay, so I like them both, first and foremost. It's, of course, I would anticipate that the 2019 would be much brighter than the 2015. But I, like y'all had mentioned, the lime zest, things of that nature. I'm still picking up the apple pie-esque notes. I'll call it pear pie, I guess, for safety.
In the
But
2015.
it's amazing how rich on the nose the 2015. It just smells so rich, like very decadent.
Mhm.
we doing the, I'm sorry, guys. Are we doing the 15 first?
I've got them
did the
both in
15.
hand, Joe.
All right, all right.
We just did the 15, and on the 19, we decided to start comparing the two.
Okay, I apologize.
No worries. You know what? There is no such thing as late when it comes to a glass of wine, except a glass of wine.
You're
that
very
was
Just
kind.
joining the conversation. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So they both almost have equal weight on the palate, which I mean, I think the 15, because it has a little bit less of the zippy acidity, that it inherently feels a bit heavier. But I think it's interesting that even though the blends are a bit different, that they still feel the same on the palate. They still are very full. But it's just, they're both fantastic. And I tried the 19 the other day in a freshly opened ice cold bottle, and I thought, huh. And this is my first time sitting down to enjoy it at a temperature in which I can actually taste it. Holy
Right.
smokes. You did good, John. You and
Well,
Rachel did a good job.
Yeah, I'm glad that that's very good. That means I get to go back to work tomorrow.
You're just waiting for my approval.
Yeah. Well, so Doc, in comparison to the two vintages, what do you find similar and different? Do you enjoy the differences, or what?
I think the differences are profound. You know, the lime blossom in this and the sort of lime, you know, this is what lime blossom tastes like, I think, when you taste this wine. And so very different from the this 15, which is, you know, all about beeswax and
Mhm.
stuff like that. It's just an herbal tea.
Mhm.
The aromatic on the 15 is more subtle and more complex. I think the aromatic here is just more, it's just more beautiful lime blossom for me. I don't know what other people are smelling, but I see a lot of difference both aromatically and on the palate.
Mhm.
So Dad, this 19 has some, I agree, it has incredible lime blossom, incredible fruit expression, and I would say it's some similarity to some of the Miao Blancs that we've opened
Yeah.
recently at your
Yes.
house. Just really beautiful expression of these Rhone varietals.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
John, I thought the Viognier would be more forward in this, even though it's only 6%. Viognier is
Right.
a flat actor, and I don't get as much. You think over time that's going to evolve? What
No,
do you
I don't
about
think in this particular instance, I don't think the Viognier will take center stage because that Marsanne, I think, overrules it quite a bit.
that? Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah.
Marsanne's got such a heavy nose. Viognier's got a very beautiful floral front, and Marsanne's got a much heavier kind of earthy and herbaceousness to it. Not earthy like a red wine, but more earth tones like honeycomb. The heavier vegetal edge like anise or fennel we were discussing earlier. But yeah, I think the Viognier's taken the palate light. I think that's what it's offered. That 6% is kind of lightened the mid palate, so it's not as viscous as the 15 is.
There's a lot of vanilla on the finish for me in the 19, and almost like a sort of a cream, dairy cream note.
Yeah, is there, along with that, is there much American oak in this, John, or is this almost all French oak?
No, I very rarely have ever used American oak on these white wines, so this is all French oak. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, American oak is just a little too rough on the edges for the delicacy of the Roussanne and the Viognier. Those are all French oak, and the Viognier, pretty much the Marsanne was 100% neutral aging, so all neutral white barrels, neutral French oak, so 3+ year old oak. I know a lot of people argue in the wine world whether 3 years is truly neutral. You can argue all you want. This is just my delineation of it. The Viognier itself was 100% new oak, barrel fermented and aged. And then we went through the batonnage process with both the Marsanne Roussanne, not so much with the Viognier. The reason we don't do the batonnage on the Viognier as much is I'm afraid that we'll ruin those delicate florals if we build too much up in that mixing and to get that mouthfeel. I think so we do that with the Marsanne and the Roussanne because they can hold up better to that.
So
when I go back and taste the 15, it's interesting. I get a little more of an herbal note on the palate, and maybe I don't know if you all are getting a similar note, but I wonder if that lime blossom, that beautiful note on the 19 is the more of the Viognier or more of the Roussanne expression.
Probably more the Viognier, to be honest with you. Yeah, because the Viognier comes across as gardenia a lot, or a little orange blossom edge. So I think that lime note probably is more accentuated from the Viognier. And I think that herbaceousness in the 2015 owes itself a lot to that Marsanne. And I think, and we were talking about that right before you got on, Joe, about the, people picking up like that baking spice. I was picking up a little hint of anise or fennel was running back and forth between the two, a little bit of cardamom. So yeah, it's a very interesting nose characteristic for sure.
Also, the 19 is releasing a lot more than when I first poured it over time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd just be curious about if we had any of our growers' thoughts at some point on how Marsanne versus Roussanne does in Texas. Clearly you think about the 18 Roussanne that's out there right now. That's an incredible wine.
Right.
And I feel like Marsanne has been a great blending component in these wines, but I feel like it hasn't quite had the wonderful expression to kind of go solo, to be out on its own.
Yeah, that would be a difficult challenge for Marsanne. I think even in the best
Sure.
of cases, you can find them, but they're a rare creature for sure. I think you can more readily find a really nice standalone Roussanne for sure.
Right.
And I don't know necessarily, is it just Texas, or is it the failure to understand not just the culture of the Marsanne, but on what Marsanne really likes as far as ageability and culture when we're making the wine? Or is it just the fact that it is a heavy it's a very heavy, viscous white wine to begin with. And it takes, you notice when it's like 9-10 months in the barrel, it does not smell good. It does not taste, it tastes disjointed. It takes a long time to reach its maturity. But once it reaches that maturity, it blossoms out. And I think that's the problem we had in 2014 when we first tried the Prairie Cuvee blend with the 14 vintage. It just didn't work because that Marsanne was not fully mature when we were looking at that. And then we ended up using the Marsanne and a couple of other things. So the 2015 was really the first year that we had enough Marsanne to experiment with. And we found at 2 years, it was spot on.
Now, the blends, John, you were asking about are Northern Rhone, Miel Blanc and Grippo Blanc, and which are blends of primarily Marsanne and then maybe some Roussanne, some Viognier, depending. And those are very powerful wines. In oak a long time, the way we're treating these. Mm-hmm. It's fun to taste these guys. So
you know, I don't, in this case, I don't think it hurts to mimic the French since they've been doing it for a couple of months longer than we have. So,
just a couple.
Yeah, just a couple. But yeah, I love white Rhones to begin with. So and they're a beautiful wine to deal with, but they certainly do take time. And I'm hoping more people actually discover this. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that we have two very good examples of what white Rhones can do here in Texas. And I think we've got prime examples, not just on our Viognier, but our standalone Roussanne, and then of course the Prairie Cuvee as well. I mean, so we've got a few examples of what a Rhone is capable of doing here. So I think if you pick it up and you enjoy it, you've got yourself a great glass of wine. I will say,
I think we always remind people about what we call I like to call it the, I'm sure you already talked about it, but our version of the Paris tasting in Texas with the Viognier winning gold, silver, and bronze in the tasting competition in Lyon.
Yes,
several years ago.
Yeah, we did not actually mention that this go round, but yeah, that's happened. The 3 Texas wines took the top 3 spaces against the French wines. So
ours took silver, and this was a competition where there was only gold, silver, bronze. You know, it was 3 awards to be given out.
All the French wines scored below our wine. Amazing. I'll tell you what this reminds me of, John. This reminds me of going in one of those small restaurants in the Northern Rhone and having a white wine from their wine list, which would be a blend like this with one of their meals. And when it comes out, it's so different from anything we normally taste in the United States. It's not Chardonnay, it's not Sauvignon Blanc. It's such a different creature.
Right.
It kind of grows on you as you taste it. It gets wonderfully kind of more interesting now. That for me now, the 19 is just starting to release everything, and it's not ready.
Dad, you always mentioned that one of your great food wine experiences was at Le Pyramide, which is closed, but it's a Rhone restaurant, right? I mean, it was.
Yeah, it's right. It's at the town of Vienne, which is where there was a great, and the pyramid was a marker on the turn of an enormous Roman track. And so here was a great racetrack, and this was one corner. The only thing that's, all the stands are gone, all the walls, all the track, but this one marker is still there. That's the pyramid. And it's kind of an obelisk. It's about maybe 20 or 30 feet tall and very, very trim, but it was a marker, and it's gone. But that lunch we had 5 or 6 different variations of Viognier from Condrieu, and it was like that in that sense. Yes,
that's amazing.
See, that's the real purpose behind living: having great big long lunches.
Yes.
I think it's Tom Perini that always tells the story about learning to appreciate the wine lunch over the wine dinner with mom and dad on some of those trips.
Right.
Being able to go back and take a nap and recover, and and move on.
And it does take a lot of practice. You've got to go through a lot of those in the shape. So
It's not easy, John. It's not easy to do.
no, I'm sure it's not. But like anything worth doing, it's worth doing well.
Well, I have to say, I knowing how hard my father has worked all his life, I still don't think you ever got much practice, Dad.
Well, just thinking about it, you get a lot of mileage out of one really good experience, and
Well, here's to maybe a few more really good experiences headed way.
we're trying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is great. So, Joe, you joined us late, so as punishment, you get to come up with food pairings for the wine.
All right, I can do this. I think, I think these are just absolutely wonderful wines to be excited about, to be drinking, to be thinking about our lavender festival.
Yes.
Something that I think inspired, something from Provence, from the Rhone Valley, the lavender that inspired you and Mom, Dad. I think these wines go along with that very well. And, I have to say, my food pairing for these would be, I have always loved Dover sole with either Chablis, or I love a good flaky whitefish with these delicate white Rhones. So that would be my thought.
Not that
Maybe one more thing. Maybe crab legs too.
Okay, but let's get specific. What kind of crab?
I think are we going for Dungeness crab here?
Yeah, I think that's the right answer.
I'd concur.
So, Bobby, what would you pick for food?
I think the Saigné, the first thing that came to my mind was salmon. I mean, just a nice barbecue grilled smoked salmon with the Saigné would just be out of this world, would be divine. So make a little bit of capers, some I know asparagus is kind of hard to throw in there, but grilled asparagus with that would be amazing.
Right on. Doc, any food thoughts?
Without a doubt, with the 19 raw oysters on the half shell.
Okay.
Wonderful blend. All the acid, all the notes of lime would be so good. With the 15, lobster bisque, en crotte, which we know about, is pretty wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And with the Saigné, another glass and a few more minutes of sunset.
And particularly, Kaylin, lobster bisque from Brasserie Mon Chouchou.
See, I still haven't gone.
Well, Kaylin, what would you pair?
So I think that there've been a lot of beautiful options shared. I think I might go a little different. So I've been on a big kick of all of the zucchini noodles and all of those things. But I've got a lemon goat cheese white wine sauce that I like to make with them and some grilled chicken. And I think that would be lovely with either of the Prairie Cuvees. And then with the Saigné, I feel like I might do like a really nice creamy potato, like loaded potato soup.
That sounds lovely. So I'm going to pick one thing for all three wines, but I think the 15 is what inspires it. I would like to have roast goose with a cornbread, wild mushroom, and chestnut stuffing with this. And
you'll need 2 bottles.
Yeah, I just think that all of those earthy flavors, that the richness of the goose would do very, very well with these Rhones. And the Saigné, of course, would go very well with that, I think.
I think it would work.
Yeah.
We could try it out.
I think we should. And I think I have already ordered the goose. So
2 bottles.
Is that an invitation?
When it gets here, it absolutely. Okay, Bobby, what do we have online for the next tasting, sir?
So, a little late on sending the email that'll go out tomorrow. So be looking for it, guys. This is something that John, you and I have spoken about. So this is what I'm going to term the love of the library. So we've got 2014 Canada Family Cab, 2014 Wilmot Family Cab, and 2014 Cheval Noir. So 3 beautiful library wines that we will be able to showcase to you guys next Wednesday, and be looking for that email because it's going to be beautiful.
Okay.
Excellent.
So any updates? We've talked about Lavender Fest. Everything is going well. So, and just a quick reminder to your wine club members, if they haven't picked it up, can they get their wines this weekend if they come by?
Come on by, pick up the wines, and we are going to have a little surprise in the December's shipment. So we'll slip in a little bit of information on our trips, our cruises coming up this next year. So that's what we're kind of working on in the midst of all this this funness. So be looking forward to all these memories that you can share with us as we get ready for the cruises this next year.
Fantastic.
I just want to say, just to close, that getting to, we say this a lot, but can't be said enough, I think, that getting to do this every week with you all has just been just wonderful and rich. And, thinking about what's going on in the world, it's hard. I don't think any of us would want to stop. It's so nice to, these wines taste so incredible, especially when you get to, have conversation and be with people that you really enjoy, you really love being with. So I thank everybody that has continued to watch with us and spend time with us every week. And we're not going away. I think we're going to keep doing this. We love doing it. And thank you.
What words well
said.
spoken. So here's to everybody. Thank you for allowing us into your living rooms once again. Cheers, good health, good wine, and we'll see everybody next week.
Great.
Thank you.